Hello, everybody. So I'm Rouven, as Marcus said. I'm part of Consensus, which is a company in that space around Ethereum. So we're building all kind of Ethereum applications. So the vision is really to build decentralized applications and really change the dynamics of like the industries of like disrupting all type of industries. So we have supply chain projects, we have poker platforms, prediction markets, all kind of things. And what all of these projects have in common is you need an identity solution to interact with these applications. So within Consensus, it's really critical that we are solving this problem, not only for the general like SSI ecosystem, like for the applications there, but also to make this other ecosystem a viable solution. So I will not go into all the details. I think we have talked about a lot about DIDs and why like blockchain is relevant for building self-sovereign identity. For us, it's really important to put the users obviously in control of their identity. We often refer to portable reputation. So it's not about just data, but it is verified data. So if someone gives an information about myself and they sign this information, it becomes suddenly way more interesting, way more relevant, because I can then share this again and can say, if you trust that individual, now you can trust myself to an extent because they made a statement about myself. And with a signature, it creates a very different dynamic. So, of course, like unified data, I think I don't need to talk about this here too much. What's important for us is to make this really user-friendly. So the whole exercise why we built this is not only that you have the access for people to use Ethereum applications, but we want to make it very easy for people to integrate with uPort. So you have heard in this morning about DIDs and DID specs and methods and other things. Ideally, most of the people don't need to worry about this because we're building an abstraction layer. So what you can download right now from the App Store is an application which basically uses the Ethereum blockchain to register an identity. And we'll talk about this a bit later. We talked about DID-auth, so our passwordless signing. That's something we do through multiple means. You can either do this like through a QR code, or you can have like you have Facebook Connect. You click on your mobile on a button, it jumps into the application after you want to log in. And does that. So these things are already working, and you can try this. Simplified user key management. Key management is obviously one of the biggest challenges in that space. So we have experimented with different approaches. At the moment, what you see if you download it is a very boring one. It's the seed version. It's not obviously the thing we think end users will want to use. So we have done different type of social recovery. So we did a smart contract-based recovery mechanism that you can define 5 of your friends, and if you lost your phone, you can generate a new private key, reach out to your friends, and they basically, with a smart contract, can enable the switch over from a new private key to your old identity or to your existing identity, to build a persistent identity or like an identity which gathered a lot of information over years. It's very, very important that you can maintain this over time. Now we built one thing which is based on Shamir secret sharing, which is like all off-chain, so it's really a different schema to bring information together. But I don't want to go, we can maybe talk about this if there's more questions in Q&A. For us, yes, you want to sign data when you interact for logging, for sharing information and so on, that you can really say, this is me and it's my data, and I authorize, I give consent that I want to share this information. But what we do, and that's a little bit different to many of the other self-sovereign identity solutions, is that we're supporting Ethereum transaction signing. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're building this bridge between this traditional identity world and ecosystem where you have a lot of data, and the data is off-chain, to interacting now with other smart contract and other applications. I think one key aspect is we are not yet using zero-knowledge proofs. What we're doing is we call it selective disclosure. It's a more simplified version of like just sharing the minimum thing you need to share. So you have a set of information that's verified by claims, and you just share whatever like the minimum thing you want to share to a requester. We're looking into zero-knowledge proof, but I think there are always trade-offs on some of the stuff. So we keep it simple for now, but it's already something which is out there since more than a year. Without going through like all the details of it, we're using smart contracts for certain of the functionalities. So whether it is some of the more advanced key management mechanisms, and we'll talk about this in a second. Also, we have a claims registry, so where other people or myself can make claims to my identity, and it's all part of the smart contract. This is maybe not ideal in some of the cases when it's about your personal identity, but if it's a company, people can make claims or can register certain things about the company or an IT device. You can create certain. I don't know, the registry is very generic, useful for interesting things. So we built this, and we have seen really like different people are experimenting with that. Maybe like on this one of these two smart contracts. So bit history. Initially, when we started, we said, okay, every person who's creating an identity, we want an entry of the blockchain, they get a smart contract, and that's basically representing their identity. That has obviously limitations in terms of scalability, the cost to create this. So the new version, which is hopefully deployed in live production in the next week, is changing the approach. So what basically happens is you generate a key pair on your device, and basically with some hashes, you have an identifier which you can use, and you can always prove that you're in possession of this associated keys. And you use the smart contract only if you want to do something special with this. So if you want to add an additional delegate, or in the case that your keys is compromised and you want to revoke it. So the way how the verifier, what they would basically do is like they receive your message or your login request, and they can validate that the key signature is right, but they would go to the blockchain and actually check that it's still correct, because you might have the key might have been compromised, or another delegate key might be now in use. We are not creating this DID document as a file. The DID method we have is generating this DID documents on the fly. And that's good, because then it can be interoperable with all the other DID compliant identity solutions. But for our population who is on the Ethereum space, they can see and read the smart contracts. So if you have another smart contract, another application on Ethereum, you cannot read a DID document which is somewhere stored on IPFS or somewhere else. So that's why we need to have, for certain of these applications, the capability to use a smart contract. We're using different storage measures. So everybody who knows now, we have a mobile application for iOS and Android, and we don't store any of the data on-chain. So all these data points, the personal data is stored on the phone. We have now like a first version of like a simple backup, so you don't lose your data. It's encrypted with your keys. And what we are building now is what you heard, I think, from Clea on the first day, is about this agents or hubs capability. Here we have built like a first iteration of this. We are focusing here again very much on the Ethereum population. So many people said they use MetaMask, or they use other applications where they have keys, but it's really hard because you have no user-centric storage of something. So if you configure it on one computer and you go to another computer, it doesn't have anymore. So very simple first use cases where our ecosystem has said like they would be interested to have this. But we see this as obviously as just a foundation where you can collect all kind of transactional information because you use different keys in different situations. So you gather a lot of data in the store. And ultimately, these things hopefully will come together, that you store data on your phone or on multiple devices, but also have a cloud storage to do like the synchronization if you want to. As I mentioned, so our focus is really building something fairly simple, but allowing other people to build on top of this. So we are really spending a lot of time on making it as user-friendly or as developer-friendly as possible. So the application look and feel has maybe not changed in the last year much, but I'd say the inner working of it, some of the architecture, and I think we spend lots of time now to get our documentation better and really make it simple. So there are a couple of libraries which are open source. We have SDKs, like a mobile SDK, which is work in progress, it's still early, and we are in process also like to open source the mobile application. So everything will be open source. Hopefully as user-friendly as possible. This snippet here is just a simple request to log in somewhere. So the request is like, give me your name, phone number, and your country. as a request. If that's given to the user, the application would issue an attestation to the user store. And we want to make it so simple that people can spin up their own communication services of like push notification and other things, but we have built most of the stuff. So if you scan a QR code on a computer, that it is something your phone directly can interact with, and then you can just get enable push notifications, and you can basically, as a developer, just push once a day an attestation to your user as a verifiable claim. So we make it as simple as possible. Hopefully, we're always happy to get more feedback on what we can do differently. And like one practical use case, and we have a few different projects, and I think even some projects here in the room, besides Adrian, who said like, yeah, they started building something. So what happened in Switzerland is they were looking for like an identity solution, and a local company actually built a portal for the city. So it was not us building this, but they use basically just our libraries and our tools. And how it looks like is you download the application, you go to a registration office, so you have your own identity, nobody cares, like it's in the beginning it's just on your phone. But in the moment when you go to the registration office in the city, you bring your ID card, the city clerk will now verify that your name you provided is matching your identity in person, and they issue a statement to you. So in this moment, like the city confirms the connection that it's actually you, and what we have seen is that then you can use this verified credential to log into services. So in the beginning there was no service, but now what's interesting, because they announced this, and now more and more different teams have started building on top of this thing. So the city wants to build some like simple thing where you can submit some tax stuff. But what was interesting is that there's an asset management team building on Ethereum. They reached out immediately, can we use this? Now there's a bike sharing application, they're using it, we connect with uPort. The latest one is an e-voting project which was started. This is all like not voting in like the traditional sense, it's more like experimentation voting for getting certain opinions in there. But it's kind of cool to see how people now start thinking about what you can do with these possibilities. And I think that's kind of what is important for us. Not only to make it simple, but also to have some tangible things to actually play around with and experiment. So that's kind of the idea, and that's just, we're very convinced that standards are extremely important here, because I often compare this with SMTP. So email is still so successful because it's an open environment, everybody can communicate with anyone, independent of the provider. And I think if we build something for identity, which is truly a standard, independent of the device you use to control it, independent, because things will change over time, technologies will evolve. Like, how do we make this really interoperable long term? I think that's kind of the aspiration we all have, and that's why I spend a lot of time talking to Rouven and others to get this right. Cool, thank you.